Bill Gates' Top 7 Habits to Reach Your First Million. The Millionaire. Mindset that changed everything. The rain hammered against the windows of the small garage in Albuquerque. It was 3:47 a.m., and Bill Gates hadn't slept in 36 hours. His hands trembled slightly as he typed another line of code, empty pizza boxes and coffee cups, creating a fortress around his workspace. "Bill, we need to talk," Paul Allen said, his voice heavy with exhaustion and something else, doubt. Gates didn't look up from the screen. "Not now, Paul. I'm close to cracking this. If you're reading this because you want to transform your life, hit that subscribe button now. What you're about to discover changed millions of lives, including mine. That's what you said yesterday, and the day before." Paul slumped into a chair. Maybe the IBM guys were right. Maybe we're in over our heads. For the first time in hours, Gates stopped typing. He turned to face his best friend and business partner, seeing his own fears reflected in Paul's eyes. They were just kids, barely in their 20s, trying to convince the biggest computer company in the world that they could deliver an operating system they hadn't even built yet. "You want to quit?" Gates asked quietly. Paul shook his head. "I want to sleep. I want to eat a real meal. I want to stop feeling like we're one mistake away from losing everything." Gates stood up, stretching muscles that had been locked in the same position for hours. He walked to the window, watching the rain create rivers on the glass. In that moment, he made a decision that would define not just his future, but the future of technology itself. "Paul, do you know what separates the people who make it from the ones who don't? Luck? Habits?" Gates turned back to his friend. "Every single day, we're either building habits that move us toward our goals or away from them. There's no middle ground." Drop a comment below. What's the one habit that's holding you back from your dreams? Let's talk about it. That conversation in the garage became the foundation of everything that followed. Over the next decades, as Microsoft grew from a 2-person startup to a global empire, Gates refined and perfected 7 specific habits that he credits with his success. These aren't just productivity tips. They're the fundamental practices that separate millionaires from everyone else. Habit 1. The 5 a.m. advantage. Your first hour determines your entire day, Gates would tell new Microsoft employees. He discovered this truth during those early days when every hour counted. While his competitors were sleeping, Gates was already 3 hours into his workday. But it wasn't just about waking up early. It was about what he did with those precious morning hours, Sarah Chun, one of Microsoft's first employees, remembers. Walking into the office at 6 a.m. to find Gates already deep in strategic planning. He wasn't checking email or reading news, she recalls. He was working on the hardest, most important problems when his mind was freshest. The science backs this up. Your prefrontal cortex, the brain's CEO, is most active in the early morning hours. This is when you have maximum willpower, creativity, and focus. Gates understood intuitively what researchers would later prove. The morning hours are literally worth more than any other time of day. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about waking up early. It's about having a system. Gates developed what he called his Power Hour protocol, 5 o'clock to 5:15 a.m. Physical movement, even just stretching, 5:15 to 5:30 a.m. Learning, reading industry reports. Technical papers, 5:30 to 6 a.m. Strategic thinking, no tactical work allowed. I realized that if I could win the morning, I'd already beaten 90% of my competition. Gates later said in an interview, "This is exactly why successful people seem to have more hours in their day." Want more strategies like this? Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell. Habit number 2. The learning obsession in 1975. Gates made a prediction that seemed insane. There will be a computer on every desk and in every home. People laughed. Computers were massive, expensive machines that only corporations could afford. But Gates saw something others didn't, because he had developed a habit that gave him an almost prophetic vision of the future. Bill read everything, Paul Allen remembers. And I mean everything. Technical manuals, business books, science journals, even philosophy. He was like a learning machine. But Gates didn't just read randomly. He developed what he called his knowledge stacking system. Every week, he would choose one core topic. To master, read 3 to 5 books on that topic, find experts to interview, write a 1-page summary of key insights, identify how to apply these insights immediately. This wasn't casual reading. This was strategic knowledge acquisition. While his competitors were focused on what they already knew, Gates was constantly expanding his mental models. The payoff came in unexpected ways. When Microsoft faced a critical decision about graphical interfaces, Gates drew on his reading about Xerox PARC's research. When negotiating with IBM, he applied principles from a biography of John D. Rockefeller. Every piece of knowledge became a tool in his arsenal. The difference between successful people and everyone else isn't talent, Gates would say. It's that successful people learn faster and apply what they learn immediately. What's the last book that changed your perspective? Share in the comments. I read every single one and often feature the best recommendations. Habit number 3, the focus protocol. It was 1983, and Microsoft was bleeding talent. Apple had just launched the Macintosh, and they were poaching Microsoft's best developers with promises of changing the world. Gates called an emergency meeting. "We're trying to do too much," he announced to his leadership team. "Starting today, we're implementing the focus protocol." The room was confused. Microsoft was already focused, wasn't it? "No," Gates explained. "We're busy. There's a difference. Being busy is about movement. Being focused is about progress." He walked to the whiteboard and drew 3 circles. Circle 1. What we're uniquely positioned to dominate. Circle 2. What the market desperately needs. Circle 3. What we're passionate about. Everything we do must be in the intersection of these 3 circles. Everything else we kill. The room erupted. People had pet projects, promising initiatives, exciting opportunities. Gates listened to each objection, then calmly responded, "Every yes is 1,000 no's. We can either be pretty good at 20 things, or absolutely dominant at 2 or 3. I choose dominance." The focus protocol had 3 rules. 1. The 90/10 rule. 90% of resources go to the top 10% of opportunities. The weekly purge. Every Friday, eliminate one activity that isn't directly driving the main goal. The sacred no. Saying no to good opportunities. To save space for great ones, within 6 months, Microsoft's productivity doubled. Within a year, they had crushed the competition in operating systems and were moving to dominate office software. Focus isn't about working harder, Gates explained. It's about working on the right things with obsessive intensity. Habit number 4. The network effect. The call came at 2 a.m. Gates was in a hotel in Japan, negotiating a crucial deal with NEC. His assistant apologized for waking him, but said it was urgent. Warren Buffett wanted to talk. Gates almost hung up. He was exhausted, stressed, and had a make-or-break meeting in 5 hours. But something made him take the call. "Bill," Buffett's voice was calm and warm. "I've been following Microsoft. I think you're building something special. Want to have dinner when you're back?" That dinner changed Gates' life. Not because of any specific advice Buffett gave, but because it opened his eyes to the power of strategic relationships. "I used to think networking was fake," Gates admitted years later. "Shallow people exchanging business cards." But real networking isn't about collecting contacts. It's about building a brain trust. Gates developed what he called the value-first networking system. 1. The monthly mentor. Once a month, reach out to someone you admire with a specific question the weekly give. Every week, help someone in your network with no expectation of return. Daily connection. Every day, strengthen one existing relationship. The quarterly summit. 4 times a year, bring together smart people to solve interesting problems. But here's the key. Gates never networked for immediate gain. He networked for learning and mutual growth. Your network isn't your net worth, he would say. Your network is your university, your board of advisors, your early warning system, and your opportunity radar, all rolled into one. Who's one person that changed your life trajectory? Tag them in the comments if they're on social media. Let's celebrate the people who lift us up. Habit number 5. The failure framework. The year was 1985, and Microsoft had just released Windows 1.0. The reviews were brutal. A total disaster, wrote one critic. Microsoft's biggest mistake, said another. Sales were abysmal. The team was demoralized. Gates called an all-hands meeting. Everyone expected a funeral atmosphere. Instead, they found Gates practically bouncing with excitement. Congratulations, he began, confusing everyone. We just bought the most valuable education in the history of software for only $50 million in development costs. He pulled out a stack of reviews, customer feedback, and sales data. Every one of these failures is a data point. Every complaint is a feature request. Every lost sale is a lesson. This isn't a failure. It's research and development. Gates instituted what became known as the failure framework. 1. The 48-hour rule. After any failure, take 48 hours to extract every possible lesson. The failure log. Document what went wrong, why, and what to do differently. The pivot protocol. Use failure data to make immediate course corrections. The celebration ceremony. Actually celebrate intelligent failures that provide valuable data. Success is a terrible teacher, Gates would say. It makes you think you know what you're doing. Failure is where real learning happens. Windows 2.0 incorporated hundreds of lessons from 1.0 feet seconds failure. Windows 3.0 became a massive success. By Windows 95, Microsoft dominated the operating system. Market. The only real failure, Gates insisted, is failing to learn from failure. Habit number 6. The compound effect. Jennifer Martinez was a junior developer at Microsoft in 1987. She had an idea for improving file systems, but was too intimidated to share it with senior management. Then she remembered something Gates had said in orientation. The best ideas come from everywhere. My job is to listen. She scheduled 15 minutes with Gates, expecting to be brushed off. Instead, he listened intently, asked probing questions, and then did something unexpected. He asked her to lead a small team to prototype her idea. But I'm just a junior developer, she protested. Today you are, Gates smiled. But every expert was once a beginner. The question is, are you willing to improve by 1% every single day? This became the cornerstone of Gates' philosophy, the compound effect. He understood that small, consistent improvements create exponential results over time. The math is staggering. Improve 1% daily equals 37x better in 1 year. Decline 1% daily equals reduce to 3% of your capability in 1 year. Gates implemented this across Microsoft. 1. The daily 1%. Everyone identified one small improvement to make each day. The weekly review. Teams met weekly to compound their learnings. The monthly upgrade. Each month, everyone learned one new skill. The quarterly leap. Every quarter, take on a project slightly beyond current ability. People overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a decade, Gates would say. The compound effect is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Jennifer's file system improvement became a core feature in Windows. She went on to become one of Microsoft's youngest VPs, all from starting with 1% daily improvement. Here's my challenge to you. What's one thing you can improve by 1% today? Drop it in the comments. Tomorrow, I'll ask you for another one. Let's compound together. Habit number 7. The give first principle. The meeting was tense. It was 1999, and Gates was worth over $100 billion. He was in a conference room with health experts discussing malaria in Africa. One doctor showed a slide. Every 30 seconds, a child dies from malaria. Gates did quick math. So during this 1-hour meeting, 120 children will die? Yes. The room went silent. Gates stood up, walked to the window, and stared out for a long moment. When he turned back, there were tears in his eyes. Ben, we're having the wrong meeting. The question isn't whether to help. The question is how to help most effectively. This moment crystallized something Gates had been thinking about for years. True success isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute. He developed the give first principle. 1. Value creation. Before value capture, always ask, how can I help? Before, what's in it for me? The 1OX rule. Whatever you receive, find a way to give back 1OX strategic generosity. Don't just give money. Give solutions. Compound giving, structure giving, so it creates sustainable, expanding impact. But this wasn't just about charity. Gates applied this principle to business too. Microsoft's early success came from creating platforms that enabled others to succeed. They gave developers tools, partners opportunities, and customers capabilities. The paradox of success, Gates discovered, is that the more you give, the more you receive. But you have to give first, give genuinely, and give strategically. The moment everything changed it was 2006. Gates was in his office, preparing for his transition from Microsoft to full-time philanthropy. A young employee knocked on his door. Mr. Gates, can I ask you something? How did you know these habits would work? When you were starting out, how did you know you'd succeed? Gates smiled. I didn't. Nobody does. But I knew one thing. Every single day, I had a choice. I could either do what everyone else was doing and get what everyone else was getting, or I could develop different habits and create different results. He pulled out a worn notebook, the same one he'd used in that Albuquerque garage decades earlier. Inside were pages of goals, habits, failures, lessons, and dreams. Success isn't an accident, he told the young employee. It's not about being smarter or luckier than others. It's about developing the right habits and having the discipline to maintain them, even when you don't see immediate results. This is why I created this channel, to share these transformative insights with people ready to change their lives. If this resonated with you, subscribe now and join our community of future millionaires. Your Millionaire Action Plan. Here's the truth. Reading about these habits won't change your life. Implementing them will. Here's your 30-day challenge. Week 1. Master your morning. Set your alarm for 5 a.m. or 1 hour earlier than normal. Use the first hour for strategic thinking, not tactical tasks. Track your productivity difference week. 2. Accelerate your learning. Choose one skill critical to your goals. Spend 1 hour daily learning. Books, courses, mentors. Apply one new concept each day. Week 3. Focus. Your energy list. Your top 20 goals. Circle the top 5. Eliminate everything else. The other 15 are your avoid at all costs list. Week 4. Compound your growth. Identify your number 1 skill gap. Improve it by 1% daily. Document your progress. The Millionaire Mindset Truth. As Gates transitioned to philanthropy, a journalist asked him what he would tell his younger self. His answer was profound. I'd tell him that becoming a millionaire isn't about the money. It's about becoming the person capable of creating that value. These 7 habits aren't just about financial success. They're about becoming someone who can solve problems, create value, and make a meaningful impact. He paused, then added, and I'd tell him to start earlier. Every day you wait to develop. These habits is a day of compound growth you'll never get back. Your decision point right now, you're at the same crossroads Gates faced in that garage in Albuquerque. You can close this article and go back to your current habits, your current results, your current life. Or you can make a decision that your future self will thank you for. The 7 habits are: 1. Win your mornings never. Stop learning focus with obsessive intensity. Build your brain trust. Turn failures into fuel. Compound small improvements. Give first, receive second, but knowing isn't enough. Implementation is everything. Final challenge. Choose 1 habit to start tomorrow. Just 1. Master it for 30 days before adding another. Drop your commitment in the comments. Public accountability increases success rates by 65%. Remember, Gates wasn't born different. He didn't have advantages you don't have. He simply developed different habits and maintained them with iron discipline. The same opportunity is in front of you right now. The habits that built Microsoft, that created billions in value, that changed the world, they're available to you. The only question is, will you use them? Your millionaire journey doesn't start with money. It starts with a decision. It starts with a habit. It starts tomorrow at 5 a.m. The alarm is set. The habits are clear. The only variable is you. Will you be the person who reads about success or the person who creates it? The choice and the habits are yours. Don't let this be just another article you read. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and join thousands who are implementing these habits. Tomorrow, I'll share the #1 mistake people make when starting these habits and how to avoid it. Your future self is counting on you to take action today. See you at 5 a.m.
Hey, wait, if you made it this far, it means the story touched you somehow, right? Then you can't miss the next one that's showing up on your screen right now. Click it, I'll meet you there, because the next one is even more powerful.